We are just a little more than 12 hours away from the start of the Republican National Convention, arguably one of the most anticipated RNCs in recent memory.
And the Now anchor Laura Harris joins us live now from the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland. Of course, Laura, some of the biggest players won't be there, but what's the atmosphere like among the delegates?
Dia, James, many people are calling this the unconventional convention. That's literally what we've heard from some of the delegates we've been speaking to. One thing we have heard is the common denominator with all of this, though. These delegates want Donald Trump to be unifying this week. They don't want to see the same Donald Trump that got here, which is ironic because that's pretty much what got him here. They say they want to see him to be unified. They also want to see a different side of him, which might be why we're seeing his wife actually do one of the opening speeches later this evening. We're told that she's going to portray Donald Trump as a good man, one who can lead this country fair and balanced. And that's one of the things that many of the delegates told us yesterday and the day before they need to see. On top of all of that, you still see that dark cloud of who Donald Trump is and what he represents, and that many people just don't like it. So much so, let me give you some numbers here. The Republican National Convention was supposed to raise more than $60 million for this event here in Cleveland, right? Well, they came up about $6 million short. A good part of that was supposed to be made up by some of the sponsorships that they were supposed to have, but Coca-Cola, Pepsi, FedEx, some of the big names decided they were not going to sponsor this RNC because of such a polarizing candidate. But with all of that, we are still expecting those 2,300 alternate delegates will be sitting around here. The 2,500 delegates will be sitting down there next to the sign of their respective states. And so we'll be seeing that a little bit later on today. With all of this, though, we talk about Donald Trump being a polarizing candidate. Well, so much so, Governor John Kasich, the governor of this state, says he is not going to be here. He says instead he's going to be making some other stops around town and possibly outside of the city and outside of the state for that matter, just because he says he cannot support a lot of what Donald Trump says, and for that reason he will not be inside of Quicken Loans, which is really interesting because John Kasich was very instrumental in getting the RNC to down. One more thing I want to note here, the Republican National Convention has not been in Cleveland since the 1930s. So we're being told they are ready, especially with security. We talked to one of the head security guys here. He says Quicken Loans, as well as the 1.7 miles around this area that's supposed to be that secure zone, are going to be the safest places, not just in Cleveland, but in this country. For now, we are live in Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland at the Republican National Convention. I'm Laura Harris. Back to you.
Well, Laura, we discussed this earlier in our show. With these recent officer-involved shootings, protests all around the country, we're curious, what kind of security are you seeing there in Cleveland so far? I know it's early in the morning.
Well, it's interesting you should mention that, James. You know, this is an open carry state. So if it's an open carry state, that means you can bring a weapon anywhere you are as long as it's within the law, but you just can't bring it inside of Quicken Loans Arena. And just last night, the Cleveland Officers Union went to Governor Kasich and said, listen, with all of these officer-involved shootings, these ambushes, is there any way that you can just suspend this law for the week? They actually asked him that, and the governor said he understood where they were coming from, but the problem was there's just no way he could do something like that. So definitely security is tight in the area. Some 500 Cleveland police officers and thousands of Homeland Security officers from across the country. Back to you.